It's time for a Wellness Revolution. Brought to you by Hotze Health and Wellness Center. Honest discussion on maintaining health and wellness naturally to enjoy a better quality of life.
He's the doctor fighting to let you keep your doctorate.
Now, Dr. Stephen Hotze.
Welcome to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I'm Stacey Banfield here with Dr. Stephen Hotze, founder of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. And as always, you can download our podcasts at hotzepodcast.com. That's Hotze podcast.com, where we have a lot of wonderful information about, from experts and success stories. And in fact, we've got a great success story for you today. Leslie Anders, she had a lot of different health issues. One that really is compelling and speaks to me, the migraines that she was suffering from, but no more. So we're going to share her story today. Dr. Hotze.
Thanks, Stacey, and thank each one of you for joining us today on Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution, right? I believe that you and everybody needs to have a physician and a staff of professionals who can coach you on the path of health and wellness naturally. So as you mature, you got energy and vitality and enthusiasm for life. That's what's important. And I love to share with our listening audience, and thank you for joining us today, success stories of guests that we've had here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. We have a wonderful story from a guest of ours who's been a guest since just before Christmas in 2000.
Not quite a year.
Yeah, not quite a year. Mm-hmm. Leslie Anders. Leslie, thanks for joining us today.
It's an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Well, Leslie, why don't you tell us your story? Tell us your health story. First, tell us about your life. You're from where originally?
I am a Houston native. I spent 20 years in Alaska raising my children, where I started to just feel unrelenting fatigue. And after years of struggle, managed to get a doctor to begrudgingly give me thyroid and limped along a little bit with a diagnosis of hypothyroidism on T4.
Let me interrupt you real quickly. So you had 20 years of unrelenting fatigue. Describe that. What do you mean unrelenting fatigue? On a scale of 0 to 10, what was your average energy level? 10 being just brimming with energy, 0 no energy. What would you say your energy level was?
I was a long distance runner and I made myself do my runs no matter how I felt. But the rest of the time I would be a 2 out of 10. I refer to those years of raising small children as raising my children from the floor. I was just having to sit down all the time. If I needed a book on another story, I didn't want to go up the stairs to get it. I would just be bottomed out, tired.
Now, when did the fatigue start?
Probably after I gave birth to 2 children.
So it was. Now, this is not an uncommon presentation from women who, after they've had children, oftentimes will experience a decline in their energy level and maybe changes in their menstrual cycle. Do you have any changes at all in your menstrual cycles at all in those years?
No, that part was okay.
Okay. Although I did notice that you had mentioned you had fibroids. You had been diagnosed with fibroids.
I had a fibroid, which did lead to more prolonged bleeding. I also had gluten intolerance, which caused all sorts of problems.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fibroid and the increased menstrual bleeding really are a sign of hormonal imbalance. That's an estrogen dominance problem. So after women have children and as women reach, their mid-30s to early 40s, there becomes a decline in your natural progesterone levels. And that means your estrogen becomes the dominant hormone, which leads to heavier cycles, some cramping, maybe premenstrual symptoms, mood swings, fluid retention, weight gain, fibrocystic disease, and the development of fibroids. This is not an uncommon. And when you have estrogen dominance, that means when the estrogen hormones dominate your menstrual cycle and aren't balanced correctly by your natural progesterone, which occurs day 15 through 28 in the cycle, that also adversely affects your body's ability to utilize thyroid hormones. So you develop thyroid binding antibodies from the liver, which adversely affects your cell's ability to utilize thyroid. And why is that important? Because thyroid is the hormone that enables your cells to produce and use energy. They're the spark plug, so to speak, of the power plants, the mitochondria within your cells that produce the electrical energy that give you, make you vibrant, vital, and full of life. So what you tell me in your history after you had your children, when you say you had unrelenting fatigue, you were a low voltage individual at that time. You weren't producing as much energy within your cells as you needed to feel vibrant. So that lasted for about 20 years, right?
Yes.
And then
that makes complete sense.
Right. And then what happened? So went on for when did you see, when were you diagnosed as having low thyroid or hypothyroidism?
Around 2003.
Okay.
And it was around 2009 that I read your book. I checked it out from Lusac Library. And at that point,
Is that a library in Alaska?
That is a library in Alaska.
My book was
There
in
it
a
is.
library.
It's in a library in Alaska.
And it changed my life. At that point, I sought out a progressive functional provider in Alaska. And not only did my health completely change, but it opened my eyes to some problems in mainstream medicine. She started looking at the whole person, requesting things like an echocardiogram for heart murmur. She started me on natural thyroid, not just T3, T4. She started me on bioidentical hormones and supplements. And I started a gluten-free diet, which eliminated all sorts of other problems I was having, from asthma to arthritis, which are completely gone.
Now is that after you got on the gluten-free eating program?
It was within 2 weeks of going gluten-free after seeing this natural doctor. I went back to my asthma doctor, who said, well, maybe the 2 years of Pepcid just started working.
Oh.
Well, I don't think so. He originally thought I had throat cancer, and now I've cured myself in 2 weeks. And he said, well, you can't have celiac disease. Your test is negative. Well, my asthma's gone, my reflux is gone, my GI problems are gone, my hypoglycemia is gone, my shortness of breath is gone.
Now that is telling
That's
right
incredible.
there. Now, some people might say that's an anecdote. Well, yeah, but she was sick and now she's well. I kind of describe it like the blind man that Jesus healed, and so he gets called in front of the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees. They say, "Well, how did he make you? I mean, how did this happen? How can you see now? Where's this? How did he make this happen?" He said, "Look, guys, I don't know." He said, "Is he from God or is he from the devil?" He goes, "Look, guys, I don't know. I was blind, but now I can see. You guys figure it out." But this is your situation here. So you go to a conventional doctor who had you on Pepcid for reflux, which Pepcid is a medication that cuts down on acid production in the stomach. But you still continue to you had asthma and you had some other allergic disorders. Did you continue to have reflux?
No, I completely.
I'm talking
well
about, but when you were on Pepcid, did that stop your reflux?
Oh no! Of course, the drugs didn't cure the problem.
So anyway, what Leslie found out is that simply by eliminating grain products would be they have gluten. Gluten is a form of a protein called gliadin, and it really can be a gliadin allergy even. But anyway, she was reacting to the gluten or the gliadin, and many individuals find out if they eliminate grain products, they have a dramatic improvement in their health, whether it's from gastrointestinal problems, whether it's from recurrent and chronic diarrhea or bloating, belching gas, or indigestion, or whether it's asthma or recurrent and chronic hives. Just eliminating something as simple as the grain product. That would be the wheat. It would be corn, it would be pumpernickel and rye and any type of grain, oats. You eliminate that and just eliminate it and see what happens. If you're better, then you know that was causing a problem. So that's fairly simple. And you would think that the conventional doctors would say, well, that was right. I was wrong. We should have tried that 2 years ago. We
You'd
didn't.
think.
But anyway. So the doctor that you were seeing who provided you with natural approaches to health put you on some natural thyroid, put you on some natural female hormones, a combination of estrogen and progesterone, maybe a little bit of testosterone in the cream, and also put you on some natural cortisol.
Yes.
And what about, you haven't mentioned your migraines at this time. Tell us about your migraine headaches. When did they start and how long did they continue?
Yeah, you tied it together perfectly because I was on cortisol in Alaska. When I moved back to Houston in 2013 and found a new doctor here, she continued the natural thyroid but took me off of cortisol. Within a year or two, I started getting migraine headaches, which became progressively worse until I was having 2 a week of 3 days each debilitating pain. I saw a neurologist. I was at my wit's end. He put me on off-label epileptic drugs, which had me passing out in the bathroom in the middle of the night. It was scary. And that is when I threw in the towel. And I thought, my health is just too important. There were mistakes that this functional doctor was making. I certainly didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of neurology treatment for migraines. And lovely Diana found a late cancellation and booked me with Dr. Ellsworth the day before Christmas. It was my Christmas present, and it gave me my life back.
Well, that's wonderful. So you came in the day before Christmas a year ago. This would have been in 2019, so it's been 11 months. So you came in and got on the program. Let me just ask you, coming into the Hotze Health Wellness Center, what did you notice was different about the way we evaluated and treated you than maybe you had been treated at conventional doctors or other physicians' offices?
Everything was different. Even with functional doctors, there was always this questioning of you. Do you really need that? Should you really have that? Trying to give you as little as possible. You were wondering, did they really have a grasp of the situation? And the minute I walked into Hotze Clinic, it was the kindness, the attention to detail, the amazing paperwork, the way that you handle your record keeping, the regard for your patients, and being completely on top of every detail in the program. We were fine-tuning the bioidentical hormones. We were fine-tuning the thyroid and taking me seriously. We were adding supplements that I had never been on before, but I was a health consultant for the state of Alaska and University of Alaska system. When I lived there, I do medical research every day, and I no longer have to question my doctors with you. I trust you, and I go home and I learn from you instead of the other way around where it's suspect the way you're treating me.
Well, I noticed that when you came in, Dr. Ellsworth recommended that we add some additional thyroid, bump it up. And this is and also take it twice a day, and then we also got you back on your natural cortisol. Cortisol is the natural stress hormone made by the adrenal gland. It's anti-inflammatory, and it's also the stress hormone. So when a person's under stress from chronic pain, just having to go to work, raising a family, raising a husband, driving the freeways in Houston, all this is chronic stress. Worried about what's going to be the outcome in the election. All these things. People are stressed all the time.
Basically 2020.
2020, we live in this stressful situation, and as we mature, that adversely affects our body's ability to utilize natural hormone, and that would be your cortisol made from the adrenal gland. So we started you on natural cortisol and got you on the supplements, and you had been plagued with these recurrent and chronic migraines. How long did it take you to begin to feel like they were being eliminated and you didn't have any problem with those migraines? Are you fatigued?
As far as the migraines, instantly. I had pulled what I had done the week before Christmas was pull out an old bottle of hydrocortisone from 2014, way back in Alaska, and right when I came here, and instantly my energy returned and my migraines went away. So I knew I was on the right track, but my doctor here wouldn't do any prescribing. So that's when I came to Dr. Ellsworth, and instantly my migraines are completely gone. My energy was restored.
Well, let me ask you right now on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being brimming with energy, best you ever felt in your life, 0, no energy. How would you rate your overall energy level currently?
I would have to say I'm a 9 to 9.5 because I remember what 25 felt like.
Now, let me ask you, what about your migraines?
I have, once in a blue moon, a migraine aura and no longer have any pain. So maybe one a month of an aura with no pain.
Well, that's wonderful. And what are you doing as far as exercising? You at one time did a lot of running and marathons, I believe. What do you do now?
I
Do you do
I
any?
never stopped my exercise, but now I notice that I do it when I run up the stair. When I walk up the stairs, I no longer have to lean on the handrail. I just walk up the stairs like an ordinary person. So I'm really very regimented about my exercise and my diet. I run every single day. I ride a bike. I lift weights. I do everything to put my health first. I eat paleo. I reversed pre-diabetes with a combination of paleo and intermittent fasting. Now my glucose numbers are perfect.
I saw that you have wonderful, and your insulin levels are wonderful. Your
And the
A1C levels are wonderful. You really are taking great care of your health. This is where the credit goes. Really goes to you and to every individual that we see here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center have come here because they want to take charge of their health. They're not depending upon the government or some insurance company or some doctor to tell them what they need to do. And unless you realize this, there's nobody responsible for your health other than you. You can decide to be healthy or you can decide that you don't want to be healthy. It's your choice, and that's your freedom of choice in America to do that. But I want to commend you, Leslie, for what you've done because you didn't accept the status quo from what your doctor told you. You had read, you had studied, and you decided, well, this isn't going to work out, and I don't want to go down the mainstream path of seeing a neurologist and getting on all these various drugs, which they had started to put you on for your migraine headaches. You knew that in the past, when you were on certain natural medication, like your thyroid and on cortisol, that you had improvements in your health. So I give you credit for making the decision to change, and I thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve you, really. That's awesome.
Thank you. There was one more benefit I didn't expect. I had one really stressful year in Houston where I went from osteopenia to osteoporosis. I don't know why. I did nothing different, but I did, maybe because of the stress. And I thought that that would be the one thing that I would never get rid of. And because of you, because of Dr. Ellsworth, because of the plan, I have gone back to osteopenia from
Osteoporosis.
osteoporosis.
Awesome.
Yeah. And this can be reversed. Osteopenia, which is a slight bone loss, osteoporosis, which is a more significant bone loss. Osteo is bone. Penia means slight loss of bone. Porous means obviously the bones are more porous. It's a greater loss of bone. And that can be reversed with natural hormones and with natural supplements, vitamins and minerals, and proper eating can replenish that. So that's wonderful that you've had that improvement. So you basically got rid of your migraine headaches. Your energy level's up. You're feeling like a 9.5 on a scale of 0 to 10, and you have got. And because years ago you got on your gluten-free eating program, you're not having any problems with reflux, and you're basically doing wonderful. And think about other women in your age group that you know and think about how they're doing and how you're doing. It really goes to your credit that you took charge of your health, because I believe, I don't care what age you are, whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or 80, there's no reason you shouldn't have energy and vitality and be enthusiastic for life. And the way we do that is the simple program, healthy eating lifestyle, which you've adopted. And I commend you for that. Particularly, you're eating paleo, which is it's keto friendly. Okay. I encourage keto friendly eating. You're doing intermittent fasting, which is important. And by intermittent fasting, folks, I mean, maybe you just eat once a day. Every 24 hours, you go like, how could I possibly do that? Well, it's very easy to do that. You just do it. We eat way too much in America. Have bulletproof coffee in the morning. You do that, a couple of cups of bulletproof coffee, which is coffee with some coconut oil or maybe some whole cream or maybe butter. Have a couple of cups of that. Don't eat lunch. Have a nice dinner, and stay off your carbs, which you've done. You're on your hormone replenishment, vitamin and mineral supplementation. You exercise. 4 simple points: eating healthy, replenishment of your hormones with natural hormones, vitamin and mineral supplementation, and exercise. And with those 4 simple points, you can be healthy and well at whatever age. So congratulations to you, Leslie, and thank you for sharing this wonderful story with our listening audience.
Thank you.
Okay. God bless you.
And, Leslie, her story, what gets me to is that Leslie was a seeker of her health.
Right.
She found your book in the library. And I think about that part of the Bible that says, seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. So for everybody who's listening to this podcast who was inspired, call us. We would love to give you a copy of the same book that she read. It's Dr. Hotze's best-selling book. It's Hormones, Health, and Happiness. Of course, you can buy it online. But again, if you just give us a call, we'll send it to you for free at absolutely no charge. 281-698-8698. That's 281-698-8698. We'd love to help you. And thank you for joining us here today on Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution.
A special thanks to Physicians Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy, proud sponsor of Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast.
Information provided on this radio program is neither intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice and is not intended to replace the services of a physician, nor does it constitute a doctor-patient relationship. You should not use information from this radio program to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting with a qualified healthcare provider. If you have or suspect you have an urgent medical problem, promptly contact a professional healthcare provider or call 911. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution radio program advises you to always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider prior to starting any new treatment or with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Any application of the recommendations from this radio program is at the listener's discretion.